Hello, my YouTube friends. Thanks for joining in tonight. As always, it's such a pleasure to be here with you guys and to talk about audio recording. As we all know, it is our favorite thing to do in the studio. Man, I love being on here with you guys, man, and talking about audio recording and so many good things to talk about. Man, I got to thinking today and how to beef up those tracks, audio tracks. Where is the muscle in your mix, man? Whew. That's really what it comes down to a lot of times. How to thicken up tracks and make them sound bigger than life. And that's really what it is. Nobody wants to go see a bodybuilder who isn't bigger than life. And sometimes he has to do things that's out of the ordinary to get there because nobody wants to see somebody ordinary. What's the purpose, right? So, what do we do to thicken up those tracks to make them really, really big, to make those vocals sound huge, wide, and thick? Oh man, there's so many different tricks to actually get there as to thickening up that mix. One of my first tricks that I learned a long, long time ago for thickening up that vocal track, you'll never guess what it is, or perhaps maybe you just know what it is. But doubling the vocal track, double that vocal track to thicken it up, man. I remember back in the day, I would try to sing as close as I could in unison with the track that I just sang. And sometimes I would be a little off here and there. And this was before everything was digital. This was way back when there was just tape, reel to reel running. And I'd have to do two separate tracks and try to get them as close as I could and match them up. And what a difference it made just by doubling up the track. But here's the cool thing, you guys, man. Now we have Now we have all the unlimited tracks we need to thicken up those vocal tracks. And so you can create a perfect one track, auto tune it however you wish, and then double that track. Just go ahead and copy that track, and it'll create a new track. Everything will be in line with what you just did. There's no more trying to line up your tracks and all that other kind of stuff. It pretty much does it if you just create a new track as to the one that you just made. And that's a way you can start doubling up that track and thickening up. But you can also use parallel compression, where you have all your compressors, your effects on here, and then you bus everything to that track. And then you can add however much compression you want to using automation or actually just using your delays and whatnot. So in real time, use automation where it's bringing in the delays or it's bringing in or actually making the compressor kick in. These are some tips the pros actually use to create some huge sounding tracks. And a lot of times what they'll do, guys, is they'll do that with their guitars too, their acoustic guitars and other instruments that they feel like they need to create a bigger sound. So I found this. I didn't find this, but I wanted to dig this out tonight. I wanted to show you. The other night we were talking about go-to microphones, and I wanted to show you this my go-to microphone that I can always get a great sound from. I wanted to show you this little puppy. This is the box it actually comes in when they send it to you. This is the Telefunken AK-47. If you can find one, they stopped making this microphone. And but if you can find one, if someone's selling this mic, wow, this is the 47, man, and it is a monster, man. It is a monster to have in your arsenal. And I'm this is a microphone I don't think I'm ever going to let go or sell. So this one I'm actually passed down. But I want to show you this baby here. Let's see if I can keep it all within without falling out everywhere. So it opens up and look at this nice little velvet black here. And this is what it looks like in the case. See if I can kind of get it without it falling out for you guys. But that's what it looks like in the case. Maybe I should just take this out so I don't drop it, right? But anyway, it's a beautiful microphone. And this is my go to microphone. when I really want to lay down some beautiful, outstanding tracks that stick out in the mix. Man, it just pokes its head right through the mix and sounds just absolutely stunning. See if I can set this down here without making too much noise, you guys. But just a beautiful mic, man. Nice and heavy and beefy. And this baby, I want to say when I first got it and sang through it, the first day I sang through this microphone, I was completely floored. I just couldn't believe the sound and the tone that I was getting out of this with a little bit of air on the top end, a nice big fat bottom into it, and nice punchy mids. Really, really nice microphone. And no sibilance, man. No sibilance whatsoever in this mic. Just a real gorgeous beauty. But notice on this microphone, we were talking. I showed you guys the other night. We were talking about the Rode NT1 microphone that they send you right out of the box, man. And I was showing you the grill on that mic. Oh, maybe I can grab it. It's right back here. It's actually in its little pouch right here. But I wanted to show you the comparison between the two. I was talking about the grills, and now the Elam Telefunken Elam microphone is kind of like the Rode NT1 when you're looking at the grill. I want to show you this because this is one of those things that make you go right. I want to show this to you. Okay, so this is a very high end. Well, they call it the middle of the road, whatever you want to call $1,900 worth of microphone. But notice this. See if you can see that capsule. Do you see the capsule? Now, if I put it at a different angle or whatever, you can kind of somewhat see that gold capsule in there. Okay, maybe if I get it at that angle, you can see the gold capsule. Now look at this. You see the capsule in that one? Okay, this is the $300 microphone, $289. This is the $1,800 microphone. But do you see the capsule in this one compared to this one? It's obvious that you can see it. But notice the grill here. Notice there's no inner liner mesh in there. Now on this one, you have the grill, and there's another liner of some sort underneath that grill to where you can't really see that capsule. It actually protects the capsule a little better from spit or whatever else or smoke or anything else that might actually get in there. But it also obscures the sound a little bit too. It's almost like having a pop filter in front of the capsule, just as this Shure SM7B. Look at this big foam right here, and watch. I can take it off, and you can kind of tell. You can hear a little difference in the sound, man, without this big pop filter on it. You know, so that's what this microphone with something in front and around the capsule to actually protect it from whatever elements getting on there. This microphone will probably be protected and last longer than say this microphone without one. But here's the thing. This is what I want to talk about before we move on. Is there's nothing interfering with that capsule as far as the sound. And, it makes me wonder why they don't do this on all your high end microphones. Now, there are some out there that you can see the capsule really nice in, but why did they not do it on all of them? Is it something that they're wondering? Maybe they're, have to replace capsules if I want to say this right here had like a 10-year warranty on it. Whenever I bought this microphone, it was a 10-year. That's insane. A 10-year warranty on a microphone, and there's nothing obstructing that capsule. You know, I don't know, but why don't they do it on all microphones? However, I don't know this to get right down to it. This microphone is a beautiful sounding microphone, and this is my go-to number one microphone to go to whenever I seriously want to get a awesome take on a good vocal track, whether it's a pop song or whatever. So many great microphones out there, man. There's not a bad microphone if it works. And however, this is the lowest self noise microphone on the market, man. So why wouldn't you want to put one of these babies in your arsenal? Hmm. Somebody's texting me right there. I'm glad I remembered to turn off my phone uh, so that I wouldn't be interrupted in this beautiful video that I'm posting for you, holding up two killer microphones for you guys to look at tonight. Get some microphones in your arsenal, man, and they do play a large role on. It's the first thing in the chain, so you got to have microphones. It's the first thing in the chain that dictates the. They all have their little bumps and curves and frequency, and so the sooner that you can actually hit that, and the less EQing you have to do later, the better it's going to sound. And so I wanted to share that a little bit with you, but we're talking about doubling up those tracks, aren't we, man? We're talking about thickening up those tracks. I'm sorry, hang on, y'all. I don't want to just put this I don't want to just put this, on the ground or anything. I want to put it back in this case. But we're talking about thickening up those tracks, making things sound bigger, and how to do that and how to go about doing that. One thing would be doubling the track, as I said. Another thing would be doing parallel compression and busing that track to that other track that has whatever compressors you have on it. What I typically like to do is have three compressors on that track. I'll compress just a little bit going into my DAW. So it'll be microphone, preamp, compressor, DAW. And that's the way I run things in the chain. And on the compressor going into the DAW, I just pretty much just run it through the compressor just to get the flavor of that compressor. I might be just tickling the meter just where you barely every now and then just see it just move just a little bit, you know? And so that's what I call pretty much just tickling the meter. And so then from there it goes into your DAW. And then whenever I bus it and do some side chaining on that track, I'll have three compressors, three different kind of compressors. And so, and then I'll gain stage those to where there's just a little bit of compression going on. And then I'll dial it into taste as far as how it sits in the mix. But by doing it this way to where you have a compressor and then another compressor and another compressor, what you're doing is you're not making one compressor work so hard to get there to the finish line. So you're actually just assigning each compressor a little bit of compression. And here's the kicker, man. If you find three really cool compressors that you like using, I love using my waves compressors and whatnot. But if you find three compressors that you like to use, they all sound different and they all react different and they all react different to different frequencies. So you might have one compressor that sounds really good on your bass guitars and your kick drum, and then you might have another compressor that sounds really, really good on your vocals. And so the one comes to mind is the R channel, and there's several different compressors that act different for different applications. So keep that in mind too whenever you're throwing them in there and you're testing different ones. Go ahead and test as many as you can. Find the three that you like, and then that way you can have that track set up. And every time you go to open up new tracks or whatever, or a new project, all your plugins are already there on each track. Everything's color coded. What tracks coming into I usually like to do like kick drum, drums, bass guitar, and then keyboards, and then you can set it up however you want it, but however you do it, set it up to where you have all your plugins on those channels, on those tracks, so that every time you put up a new project, it'll save you tons of time doing all that other stuff. You've already got your plugins on each track that you like to work with. They're already there. You know how they work, you know how they sound. It's going to save you a lot of time, man. But try doubling up those tracks. And here's the really cool thing. Um, when you're doing your vocal track and you get to the chorus section, it's really, really cool to really either add another double track, and you can add a little delay on that track, okay? A short slapback type delay. And then on the track that you're bussing to, you can add a little more delay to it. So what you're doing is you're creating depth. And here's the cool kicker behind all that, man. You can EQ your delay and your reverb so that it's only the reverb is only hearing and EQing the high end, say from um, I don't know what, say 1 kilohertz, one kilohertz up, or say 300 hertz and up, and then everything else is rolled off to where that reverb is not even being, it doesn't even exist in the track. So that's how you can EQ those delays and reverbs to where you're not hearing all that low end frequency, and it's not having to work so hard. It's only EQing the high end of those frequencies. So much, right? So much to learn, and so much to work with, and so much to use. And but yeah, that parallel side chaining and stuff like that really makes a huge difference. And two, you don't have to let's just say you have, I don't know, I like to do 3 takes on my course section. And this is where some people like to have harmonies. One here, either one above or one below or two below. And so that'll thicken the mix up. That'll thicken the sound up too, as well, and make that chorus really sound big, and those vocals sound really, really big by pitch shifting up or down on the vocal track. So that's another way that you can achieve that. So many different ways that you can actually achieve thickening up the vocal tracks, but it's really just taking the time and having a game plan in the beginning as to what you want to do, and then going from there as to how you want to approach thickening up those tracks. I hope this helps you guys, man. There's so much to practice and get good at. But yeah, man, we had a really good night tonight. I wasn't gonna get in here and come in here, but I was like, you know what? I'm tired, but I don't care. I'm gonna get back to the house and to get on here and hang out with you guys a little while. Show you my go-to microphone that we talked about the other night, which I love. The train's kicking off, man. You don't want to have clients over and in the middle of a session and have those guys rock and roll and hammer down on those trains. But this was my old Audio Master T-shirt, okay? And this is one that I actually made online, and as you can see, it's really a cool shirt with the black and the white and the lightning bolt. 2012, established 2012, Audio Master. But here's the thing, man. I was making these shirts online, and when I got it back, I really wanted the Audio Master to be a little higher on the shirt. It was kind of hard to tell, but look, so my new ones, I'm not really sure if I'm going to have Audio Master or it's just going to be Audio Master right here. And I don't know. This was just a trial and error shirt, right? So I really wasn't 100% sure, and I only made a few of them. And so it wasn't like I lost out on a whole bunch of money. This was just a trial and error shirt. But now I'm actually going to go to a local shirt shop and have them and sit there and find some shirts that I like and then have them design it. And so I'm actually going to get 20 of them made, and I am going to give out 10, and the other 10, I'm not sure how I'm going to actually do that. I'm going to let Bull Tide handle all that. But it's not a bad shirt just to kick around the house in, hang out in, or do some videos in. But my other shirts are going to be much better, I promise. And you guys are going to want to have an Audio Master t-shirt to wear for the summertime. So tonight, man, we had a class at the gym. As always, you guys know that I'm trying to get in shape and eat a little better and take care of myself a little better these days. And so we had this, it's called body pump. And you go in there and you actually do all these military presses and you do squats and you do lunges and all this stuff. It's 35, 40 minutes of this, man, and it will knock your socks off, dude. And so I finished there and went and ate real clean and jetted on back here so I could hang out with you guys tonight on a Monday night. Thicken up those tracks, double those tracks, man. Lay down a guitar track. If you really, really like it, go ahead and double it. Copy it, and then you'll have two. I wouldn't say EQ them any different than the way you like the way it sounds. Maybe you might want to pan one a little left and a little right, or to add some separation there. But it will thicken it up that way. But a lot you can do with panning too to create wideness in the vocal or the whole track. They've got little things out now to where you can actually widen the stereo field in on your master channel. So let's just say your mix sounds pretty, narrow. You can put this baby on the master channel and actually spread it out a little further to create width and in your track. And that's really nice to have too, is to add a little width to the track. So last night I was watching a video on how they did things in the 50s and how they actually recorded in the 50s. It was really, really interesting. They did, you can probably find it too. I want to say, what was the name of that recording in the 50s or something like that? It's on YouTube. But they used a lot of these ribbon microphones right here, the AEA. Of course, it was the RCA back then, but they use a lot of ribbon microphones, and they use this microphone to their advantage because the way it picked up in a figure eight. So they pretty much created their sound in the tracking room, and very little was done after that. I was pretty much getting the sound right, and the musicians placed right in the room with one microphone was the challenge. They said simply because you don't want this guy over here too loud or this guy with his amplifier with too much reverb on or whatever else. So they pretty much created the sound in the room, and then the engineer would sit back there and he would listen to it and say, okay, the bass guitar needs to be a little closer to the microphone, and we're gonna put the drums over here to where the null end of the microphone is because it's the loudest. So they would position every musician in this room. This is the way they did it in the 50s anyway. And I was floored, man. I was floored how they did it and how they created that sound that they did with a one microphone. And then there was some other stuff they showed how to do it with two microphones, the way they did it. The bloom effect where they'd have two microphones in a stereo form to where they created a stereo pattern, and and the musicians would set up around the room accordingly. And it was really just about placement of the musicians and hoping that they would play at the same volume level. It wouldn't get too crazy with things, and they would track like that. Man, that was so interesting and so fun to watch that, man. And even the old gear, they showed all this old gear, this old Altec stuff, old gear they was using back in the day, and just a very, very cool. I'm gonna put a link down there below so you guys can go to and check out that video. It's a really interesting video how they did things back in the day with the ribbon microphones, man. Really, really cool. And so, so much to learn, so much to have fun with in the audio recording world, you guys. And all I can say is you never stop learning. Little tips and tricks here and there will help you out getting down the road a little further. And if you have a mentor, that's even better. And always try to surround yourself with other people who are who've been in the game a little longer than you, and that's going to help you get there faster learning all their tricks and whatnot and secrets to being a better recording engineer, a tracking engineer, a mixing engineer, and mastering if you want to dabble into that. That's the last stage that the audio sees before it hits the radio is the mastering engineer. And he is the guy who actually, polishes it up, polishes that mix, adds that final stage of EQ and size and thickness to it to get it as close to 0 dB as he can. And so he is the guy that bring up those volume levels to make things sound huge and big and nice and smooth and creamy sounding and just polished. So there's different areas that you can get into, or you can try to tackle them all and learn a little bit of all of it. I enjoy all the stages. I enjoy the tracking part. I enjoy setting up microphones and trying different mic placements in the room. And I enjoy the mixing part. I actually and enjoy some of the mastering too. It's not here at the house. It's not going to be something that is going to be comparable if you send it off to a true mastering engineer who actually does mastering for big time artists, whether it's Bob Ludwig or somebody like that. However, you can get pretty close and do a nice job to where it's going to be a nice sounding demo and be as loud as some of the other things that you hear out there on the radio, man. So there's all kind of neat things about the audio world that you can dabble into and get creative, whether you're the art doing being the artist or being the artist and the tracker and the mixer and the whole wearing all the hats. It's so much fun. But yeah, doubling up on your tracks will add muscle to the mix. It will add thickness by having delays, short delays, medium delays, long delays, stereo spread, all these things, all these elements that I'm talking about tonight. Doing side chaining, parallel compression, all these things that I'm talking about is going to make your mixes sound ton better. And it's going to make them sound more polished, more glued together. The tracks are going to sound more glued together. And ultimately, that's what you really want. You want a track that's going to sound glued. As if, have you ever noticed? I've noticed this a lot now for some reason. I'm hearing a lot of people get on YouTube and they'll do, you can tell that their video is, they're just singing over their video. Like I heard this one guy who was playing his guitar, his acoustic guitar, and he was what all instruments. So it was acoustic guitar and vocals. Okay, I think that was it. It was acoustic guitar and vocals, and you can tell he did it in the studio, but then came back and did his video and just pretty much sang it in unison and played his guitar in unison. But that wasn't what you were hearing. You were hearing the studio part. And dude, you would not believe how unglued it sounded with just two tracks going on. His vocals it just didn't sound like it was together with the music, you know, even though the time, it wasn't that he was playing out of time or that he was he wasn't following the tempo or anything like that. It was just you could tell that the vocals wasn't glued in nice with the acoustic guitar. And what happens is a lot of times when you get a mix going and you get several different tracks going, you might have drums, keyboards, two guitar parts, uh, a lead guitar part. You may even have some ear candy stuff coming in and out, hand claps, tambourines, whatever, coming in and out of the mix. But you get these other elements in the mix, and then you put your vocals in there, and the vocals, you can really hear it on karaoke stuff, okay? You can really hear it on karaoke stuff how the vocals doesn't sound like it's glued in the mix good, okay? Perfect example. I don't know where that came from, but thank you. I'm glad that came to me. So, but when the songs glued together, the vocals it seems to be everything seems to be stirred together as one big mix, you know? And everything seems to be gelled and glued together. So when you're listening to the song, it sounds as one coming at you, right? And when you hear these tracks that aren't glued together, it just everything just seems what's the word I'm looking for? Everything just I want to use another word other than glue, but everything just seems out of place. That's probably the best word. Okay, so everything just seems out of place as far as not being as one. And so when you have these tracks that are glued together really, really nice, your music's you're still gonna be able to hear everything. Everything's gonna be clear and big and huge sounding, but everything's gonna be together and sound as one as a whole mix. And so when you really get good is when you can achieve these mixes like that where everything there's masking going on, none of these frequencies mudding up the track. The tracks don't sound muddy. Everything's clear. Everything's hitting really, really hard in the frequency range that those instruments live in. And on top of that, everything is glued together. And it's like you're listening to one cohesive piece of music when there's all these other elements and all these other instruments that are entailed and involved in your song. I hope they came out right because I was sure trying to get it out right as best I could. You know, how sometimes when we're talking and trying to explain something and we're really not teachers, we just want to explain what we're doing or trying to achieve. It don't come out right. And as you guys know, everything I do is ab lib. I'm not looking at a sheet to read or anything, so I'm hoping that I get it out right. And sometimes I look back at some of the videos and I laugh at myself because I just like, oh my gosh, you know. But you got to take things with a grain of salt and hope that your listeners will know that you're genuine and you're just, you know, you're just trying to help everyone out as far as to be a better engineer and share some knowledge with you guys. So I hope you enjoyed the show tonight. I really enjoyed you guys hanging out with me as always here at our Trib Studio Audio Master. Thank you so much, man. If you haven't hit that bell. You know what to do with it, man. Slam it. And there is a little subscribe button right down there, man. Hit that subscribe button and like and share. That will get me in the algorithm with this YouTube channel that I am sharing some imperative information and hope that you guys can get something out of it, man. You know, I try to give a little bit of snippets each night as to you know what can help you out in the mix and help you become a better engineer, a better mixer, and a better listener. We can all be better listeners, can't we? And the better that we listen, the more that we learn. And so I learned that as a kid. I think that's why I did so well in school because I wasn't one of those kids that I wasn't the brightest light bulb and I wasn't the sharpest tool in the shed. But I was the kid that always just was good in class and didn't cut up, didn't, you know, kept my mouth shut and just sit there and listened, you know. And I don't know. I think a lot of classes that I took, I think those teachers liked me because I was so nice in my classroom. I didn't cut up. And anyway, so being a good listener is a great thing because that's going to help you learn from other engineers out there, for one. And here's the other thing that being a good listener is going to help you guys when you get in your studio and you actually do a mix and you start bringing up those faders and you start bringing them up and you get a good balance first where you can hear everything and every instrument has its place and there's no masking going on. Then you can step back and listen to it and listen to what's going on. And you can start pulling things back, pushing things up, and it's okay. And that's when you can start riding using automation, real time automation, and especially on vocals. You want those vocals, a little subtle rides here and there on those vocals. And don't be scared to go ahead and cut a track in automation because you can always listen back to it and hit read. And then if it's not working for you, you can write it again. So it's not something you're stuck with automation. You can do whatever you want to do, have effects come in and out throughout the song as the song builds and climaxes, and you start adding all these other elements and ear candy and stuff coming in and moving in and out of the mix and spread, things moving across the stereo field this way, things moving in and out of the mix like this. Your vocals always right up there in front with depth in the back. And that's really going to create a nice, beautiful mix for you guys because of the fact you've got a three-dimensional thing going on. You've got drums, you got guitars panned hard left and right. You so you're creating space this way. You're creating frequency from high to low this way, and you're creating depth from front to rear this way. So you've got this nice three-dimensional thing going on with all your instruments. This is going to make your tracks come alive. They're going to sound great. Sticking up those vocals where they're right there in front, and adding delay and depth to it. It just gives it all that thickening from front to rear. This is going to help you, man. Try some of this out tonight. Get in there in your studio and start moving things around, and don't be bashful or shy as to you know throwing things up a dB or two here or there, and but here's the thing, as I talked about last night, what is the main thing that people really, really listen to? What do they hear? What is the first thing they hear when there's a mix going on? They're going to hear the vocals. They want to hear the vocals. And if the vocals tend to drop out for even remotely a second, it's going to lose your listeners' attention. And that's not a good thing. So you always want those vocals to be present, to be sounding really good with some air and nice high end to it and sheen, nice mid range. And you want those vocals to sound as best they can because that's what your listener is going to be paying attention to the most. He's not going to know, oh, what kind of snare drum was that? Or, oh, I really like that. That's not, he might like that and he might need that. Pow. He might need that snare and they're just whacking away to get that groove and that vibe. But that's not going to make the song. That's not what he's listening to at first. He's actually listening to those vocals. So it's really imperative, you guys, get your vocal tracks shining, sounding its best, so that your listener, because that's what he's keyed in on. And if you lose the listener's attention, if one of those phrases in the mix gets lost for just 1 second, it might be that first line that comes in, you're gonna lose your listener's attention, and he's gonna turn the radio if it even makes it to the radio, which it probably won't. So with that in mind, work on that, you guys, and use automation. Don't be afraid to use automation. It's easy to use. If you don't know how to use automation, there's several YouTube videos out there on automation, and it is a must these days, and it is such a gift that we have automation, and we can do as many tries as we want to with automation. If you just want to get crazy and just ram things up and pull things down, go ahead and do it. Listen to it, have fun with it, man. And then the more you play with your automation, the better you're going to get. And then it's just going to be just subtle moves here and there, little subtle moves around those faders here and there. And it's not going to be much, maybe a dB, maybe, minus 1 dB here and there. It'll be just like this the whole way through. Maybe it's on your guitar parts. Maybe it's on your vocal parts. Maybe it's on all of it, to where you got things doing this and giving space and giving room for things to breathe. I want to say, years ago, I found an old album that was made either in the late 50s or the early 60s. And this album got misplaced during my move. And I don't even know who actually made it. But I remember the song and I remember the album, and it was called Music in Motion. Now, this was way before, I want to say, Eddie Kramer was out doing Led Zeppelin tunes and all that other stuff. This was back. I'm wondering if he actually learned from this guy that I'm talking about because, like I say, the album was called Music in Motion. I remember putting on the album and listening to it, and I was just floored. The first time I heard, you could really hear things coming in and out of the mix, and how everything had its own stereo field, and then it was just come in and swell in and things swell back, and while this stuff was swelling back, the stuff was coming in. The guitar over here might be on the right side of the stereo field for 1 minute, and then something swoop along this way, and then this would kind of swoop in and do the stuff. Wow, I was so impressed with that that I actually made me a Instagram channel and called it Music in Motion. And so, I don't know, man. I really feel like that's the way music needs to be. It needs to be moving. These frequencies are moving. This is energy, and this energy needs to be moving at all times. And that's what makes music so interesting. It isn't about just this one frequency, wham, and very static, and very just it's boring if things are just there all the time. And so having things move in and out in the stereo field and moving around and creating this music in motion, that's the human ear. It just seems like that's what we like to hear. With compressors, people get compressor happy, slam it, see how loud they can get everything, and slam it right down your throat, man. And those are the most boring mixes you'll, at least as for me being an engineer, they're very, very, very boring. So I love to hear things coming in and out of the mix, getting big, moving back to where I'm paying attention and hearing, well, where's the guitar going? You know? And so it's all there. But, like I say, the main thing in the mix that the listener's listening to is that voice. So thicken up that voice. I gave you some ideas on how to go about to thicken up the voice and create more depth with it and your mix and all that other good stuff. Sit behind your computer tonight, man, and break out some old songs that maybe you mixed before, and pull all those faders down. Pull out all those faders down. Take all the compressors, all the EQ off all the tracks that you ever did in the past, and start with one element. And don't EQ anything. Just try to get those faders up. Don't put any compressors on anything. Try to get a good balance across the whole mix with all your instruments with no plugins on it. No plugins, no compressors, no EQs. And then after you do that, start moving things around. Start giving each instrument its stereo field. I mean, as to where you're going to place it in the field. Once you do that, it's going to open things up. And then you're going to start hearing things moving in and out. You can start moving things in and out. And try that without automation, man. Just start practicing. That's a great way to practice using real-time automation and creating music in motion. All good songs, if you listen to especially those songs that Eddie Kramer did for Led Zeppelin back in the day. Man, you might have a guitar over here far, far right, and another guitar way over here far left. And the next thing you know, man, things are going back from one side of the stereo field to the other. Things are moving in, delays are coming in. That guy really is the bomb, man. He is the ching ching a ling. And I'm so glad that he mixed Led Zeppelin stuff because those songs are still being played on the radio today, and they are classic rock, classic. Those are those timeless songs because not only was the musicians great in their time, but they weren't doing anything that was I would call trendy at the time, and they were truly ahead of their time. They were a really original band, and that's why we can still listen to their music today and enjoy everything that they did back way back when. And our kids are listening to Led Zeppelin, you know. Thank you so much, Eddie Kramer, for doing that. For all of us who love listening to music, without your without your expertise in the music business, we wouldn't be able to enjoy all those great Led Zeppelin songs as we know them. The song remains the same. All those beautiful songs that you actually did for us to enjoy. Thank you so much. We appreciate it here at our Trib Studios, and I'm sure around the world, all you guys who love rock and roll, because it's been a long time since a rock and roll. Thank you so much tonight for joining in. If you haven't hit that subscribe button, slam that bell, and we will see you tomorrow.